I want to hear from my viewers. Would you like to have a contest to win some of these onion bulbs? Whew. Hello everybody and welcome back. This is Not a Pro Gardener here. It's about 65 degrees outside, partly sunny. It's a beautiful day, okay? So it's supposed to get about full sun here for too long, which is why we're out here early and we want to get this done. What we're going to be doing today is we got corn here. Usually when my corn gets about a foot tall, I like to fertilize it, and I usually use whatever I got. And last year I did not grow corn, so I had a leftover bag of 1300 from NatureSafe. Now this corn in particular seems to grow really quick for me. So we're gonna go ahead, when it's about a foot tall, I'll show you up close what we're gonna do. We're gonna side dress it. We're going to cultivate with a 3-tine cultivator on my wheel hoe to get some loose dirt roughed up, okay? And then we're gonna side dress it, and then we're gonna use our hilling hoe to hill it up on the plants, throw some dirt up on them corn plants, because they seem to enjoy getting dirt hilled up and making a hill to cover their roots. It helps to stabilize them, and it helps to cover up that fertilizer as well, get it mixed in so it can help it break down. And I have had problems with my dogs digging up this fertilizer, so keep that in mind if you use it. But once this fertilizer takes and it hits, you're gonna notice. Now, another reason why I'm only doing this when they're about a foot tall is because I did this the first year I grew this corn, and that corn grew so fast that it didn't have a chance to use all of that fertilizer from that 1300. And after the corn finished growing and I harvested it and I got rid of all the stalks, I seeded a cover crop after it. And you could see where the rows of that fertilizer was in my cover crop, because it was just a green strip. So I know that fertilizer takes a long time to break down because they didn't even get a chance to use it all. So we're going to get this in here, show you exactly how we're going to do it up close, and then we're going to take you down to the other in-ground garden and show you what we're going to be doing down there to fertilize our broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kale, and our collards. So stay tuned and let's go get it done. so we got this cultivated. Now I'm just going to tell you a little brief about this corn here. Okay, so I have fertilized this. I didn't put a pre-plant fertilizer in the furrow, which is what we normally do. I just didn't have the time to do that because it was raining when I added these drip lines in. So what I did for my first fertilizing for these corn plants is what I did was I did that NatureSafe 777 like I always do in the fertilizer injector with AgroThrive General Purpose, Micro Boost, and I did 4 ounces of the 20-20-20, okay? That's what I did to give it a jump start because corn grows so fast and I just felt like if I didn't have nothing in there sooner than later, because I think it'd probably take about 7 days for that fertilizer to break down and start working for that corn. I wanted something immediate because I didn't want to give it a slow start. The second fertilizing, the corn plants got about a foot tall in a couple weeks. It didn't take very long. I think it's 2 weeks or so, a week and a half. And most of them are about a foot tall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to side dress it with the 1300 from NatureSafe. I'm going to take you down close and show you that specifically. Now, corn's something that you really need to make sure that you fertilize it heavy, but it also needs plenty of water. I water it just about every day. This heavy clay soil I got, you'll see in a minute that it isn't the best for corn, but I have successfully grown it here. And we're going to show you how, if you stick along with us in the video, how to grow in heavy clay soil for corn, sweet corn specifically, because sweet corns are generally tougher to grow. It's got a need requirement that needs to be met. So let's turn around and I'll show you what we're doing on these corn plants specifically in just a little shot so you can see close up exactly what we do to get these corn plants to grow good in the heavy clay soil. So let's turn around and I'll show you what we're doing. All right. So these are the corn plants. They're about a foot tall, maybe even a hair bit taller. This is what the fertilizer looks like, this pelleted form here. If you can see that, hopefully. I usually do about one of these, about a 30-foot row, but since this is a smaller plot and I'm really wanting to ramp up some nitrogen for these guys, this is how tall I want to feed them. And I want to feed them heavy. So since it's not going to rain for a couple of days, probably about 4 or 5 days, I'll be able to slowly water it in, which will help it break down. And if it rains really heavy, I have a fear that it's going to wash this away. So a way you can do to fix that is like I freed up this loose dirt here. Okay, so I'm going to side dress around 2 to 3 inches away from this plant, and then I'm going to hill some dirt up over it. And on both sides, I'm going to hill the dirt up on the corn plants, which is also going to smother out these weeds that we got in here. It's going to help take care of some of those problems, and it's also going to feed it at the same time, keep the wind and rain from blowing this fertilizer away as well. So that's pretty much all you need to do. Now you can also inject the fertilizer into the drip system, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to inject another AgroThrive General Purpose and some Micro Boost into the drip system here. Which also another note on that is it took me 2 waterings to get all that fertilizer out of that little jug, because you gotta have 2, well, you don't have to have, but if you don't have 2 of those particulate filters like I have on my other garden setup, that filter clogs up fast and it won't let any water through. So you gotta make sure your filters are clean when you're using that organic stuff, because it clogs up pretty quick. Now, I usually have 2 particulate filters in place to relieve that problem, but on this plot I do not, so I have to stop at about an hour, clean it out, and start over again to end up fertilizing it more. So just keep that in mind. Now we're going to go ahead and show you what we're going to do. Then we're going to take this hilling hoe and we're just going to pull some dirt up on it. Now from another point of view, we already side dressed this side, hilled it up with dirt. As you can see all these little weeds in here. From this aerial point of view, I'm going to show you what we're doing. I'm just going to go halfway to this other row here so I have plenty of dirt for both sides. And I'm just going to pull some dirt up, smother out them weeds, and help stabilize my corn plants all in one motion. And as you can see, there's about 3 to 4 inches of dirt hilled up on these corn plants about to these bottom leaves they got here. That's pretty much what I'm gonna do with the whole row. So now that you got an idea of what we're doing, I'm gonna show you how we do it. All right, everybody, so as you can see, we hilled the corn. The reason that we hill the corn is to shade out the weeds in between the corn plants in the row, and it also stabilizes the corn plant and it covers up that fertilizer so wind and rain stuff doesn't blow it or wash it away. Kind of helps keep it in that one place, and also helps break down when it gets wet underneath that dirt. It also, as it covers those drip lines up, it also keeps a lot more moisture in there as well, which is very good for the corn plants. It took me a little bit longer than normal to hill these plants up. Usually I try not to do as much labor with the whole wrist thing I got going on, but it just took a little bit longer. I had to take more breaks, you know. So now that we got this done, we're going to take you down to the other in-ground plot. We're going to show you, everything else we got going on down there. The main thing we need to do is we need to fertilize that 1300 to our broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kale, and collards. Might even throw some around our tomato plants because they could use it as well, you know. So we're gonna probably put a 50-pound bag. We used a 50-pound bag almost here, and the corn plants, I fertilized them really heavy. And then I also am going to do another probably 30 or 40 pounds down there at the in-ground plot. And that's a good milestone for fertilizing your plants, is having multiple feedings, not just one time. I usually inject some small amount fertilizer like the Agro Thrive and the Micro Boost. I usually do it every 2 weeks or so. It just depends on when I got time. Like if it's gonna rain for the next 2 weeks, I'll fertilize it before then and after. You know, I just fertilize it in spoon feeding. Like I use the spoon feeding method, so I don't fertilize a bunch at one time, then a heavy rain comes in and pushes all that down or washes it away. I just try to break it up upon the growing season. Now for other things like onions, you kind of have to change that up a little bit. You kind of need to feed them early on and not while they're bulbing, stuff like that. It just depends. So let's go down there and we're gonna go ahead and get these other guys fertilized. So let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so now that we're down here at the in-ground garden plot, this garden plot down here on the lower end of the property, we are going to be side dressing like we did the corn, just a little bit differently. Now I don't want to hill these. These guys don't really enjoy being hilled except for the tomatoes. Now I'm just going to sprinkle some of that 1300 along each row of plants here. And then we're going to come through the 3-tine cultivator and cultivate that fertilizer in and like kind of mix it in. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to give some to all of these plants except for the bush beans. The bush beans don't need any fertilizer, any extra fertilizer other than my pre-plant fertilizer that I injected in for them. Now the summer squash will probably get some by them, but I won't do along the whole row. I'll just put some at each plant. Now the tomatoes, I'll probably do some at each plant as well, but not as much as I normally would because I do have a special fertilizer just for them, and you'll get to see that on another video. Go ahead and turn around. I'm going to get this stuff cultivated in, so let's check it out. Whew. All right. So now that we got all this stuff cultivated in, don't fret if you don't get that fertilizer completely covered. I just like to break that hard crust top of that soil up. That way, whenever I use my drip lines, it kind of holds everything together. It mixes that fertilizer in with the soil a little bit, but it doesn't have to be completely covered. Since my garden application is like this and all these plants are closer together, that's why it doesn't matter to me if it doesn't get covered all the way, because they're all gonna get a hand in that fertilizer. So whenever I water it in, that soil, since the hard crust top is broke up, that soil will absorb more of that water You know, when you get that hard, crusty layer on top, it's hard for that water to spread out as much. But since I have it broke off, you get more air to your roots, and you definitely get that fertilizer cultivated in. That water gets a better chance of reaching it, and it gets a better chance of breaking up so your plants can use it if it's mixed in with the soil. So what we did was we got that fertilized for the corn, so it's ready. Now that corn up there, I'm probably gonna have to fertilize it one more time, and I think that's gonna be plenty for the rest of its life. Now all I gotta do is spray for bugs and be diligent for animals and bugs, that's it. I don't have to do anything else with that. It should be fine now. I do wanna talk to you about something before I go. To get my viewers, I wanna find out what you think about this idea that I have. So let's go over here to the onions and I'll talk to you about it. All right, so if you guys have stuck with me from the beginning of my videos, you'll know that I have these Tom's Multiplying Onions in this raised bed. Now, I think I have plenty enough to spare some, maybe for some contest or something. Maybe if you're interested in winning some of these Tom's Multiplying Onions that I got here, I think I have enough to share with a few viewers. I haven't worked out the details yet, but I want to hear from my viewers. Would you like to enter a contest to win some of these sustainable onions? They're not bulbing onions, they're like a bunching onion, but they are sustainable. You can use the bulbs every year to replant them if you store them correctly. This is Not a Pro Gardener here. I want to hear from my viewers. Would you like to have a contest to win some of these onion bulbs? If you do, comment down below, let me know. And if there's enough people, I will fabricate some kind of a free contest where all you gotta do is like, comment, stuff like that, and I'll pick random names out of a hat. And if it comes down to it, I could maybe, I don't know if my internet's good enough to do it live, but I could check on that and we'll see what happens. But just comment down below if you'd like me to make some kind of a contest to where I could ship you free multiplying onions. That way you could feed your family with the seed stock every year. Sounds like a great idea or not? Just let me know. Like the video, comment down below, and we'll see you next time out here in the garden. Have a great day.